full-size Christmas tree at home, we have the solution. Antonio Bellusci here with some great DIY alternatives.
Thank you, thank you.
I love that all of these were found, like the materials for all of these were actually found in your garden. So
yes.
This is what we're going to be making. These are the different projects.
So the first one is made with a dogwood shrub.
Yeah, that's this one.
The next one was made with my birch tree.
Yeah.
And then we've got an oak bark tree.
That's so cool. I like that.
And then I did a little collection with the dollar store. I like to call it my capsule collection with the dollar store.
Those are good collections.
Perfect collections.
To emulate, for sure. Okay, so let's start with this one. When I see this one, I feel there's going to be a lot of gluing involved.
There is a bit of gluing, but you know what? It goes by quickly.
All right.
Now, the first thing, I love dogwood because it creates this beautiful stem that's in a nice bright red, which is always festive for the holidays.
Beautiful.
And so what you're going to want to start with is a block of wood to create your base. And I used just a piece of 2x4. And then what you're going to want to do is you want to go into your garden, you want to find a stem, a big stalk, same from the dogwood shrub.
Yep.
And you know, and nothing in my garden grows straight. So you have to be comfortable dealing with crooked stuff, which is totally fine. But when you glue it in place, you're going to want to sort of position it and cheat it to make it look straight. And that's what you're going to get with this one here. And you can actually see it's kind of crooked.
Yes.
And at the top,
that's fine.
I started gluing, and I used little pieces. First, I did a little bit of vertical gluing, so it just covers the top part.
Right.
And then what I did, you can notice, I started gluing them on an angle. And by doing it on an angle, the pieces start to fan out and starts to create this sort of crowning effect. And you're just going to keep going all the way down to the bottom. And then I wrapped it in some fabric and tied it up with a bow.
And the piece is bigger and bigger and bigger as you get to the bottom. So you have that Christmas tree silhouette,
Yeah,
right?
you're going to want to use bigger and thicker pieces as you go down. And the one great thing about this, Tracy, and it was totally non-intentional, is I used all these cut pieces, but all the edges are this bright white. And it kind of makes it look like they're Christmas lights.
Ah, pretty. That is such a nice alternative. Think about it, if you're living in a condo.
Yes.
Or if you just don't want to go through the trouble of putting up a huge tree. These are beautiful tabletop.
For a fraction of the cost.
For a fraction of the cost. Okay, now the second one.
The second one is this birch tree I made. Now I started with a little piece of a birch log that I cut to be the base. And if you don't have this, you can again use a little piece of wood. And I drilled a little pinhole in the top.
Yes.
Now the key item for this, and it's completely random, is I used a driveway reflector.
Okay.
I know this is strange, but you need something that is thin and taut and strong to be the core.
Okay.
Especially if you want to use small pieces. I got this at the dollar store for a fraction of the cost, but you can get it at hardware stores.
You can get these at the dollar store?
You can get them at the dollar store, and that's in fact where I bought this.
I love the dollar store.
But the great thing is it's a great wire. So what you do is you're going to cut it to the size you want, and you're going to drop it into the hole. You're going to glue it in place when you do it. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take your branches and you're going to cut them in pieces, and as you go down the branch, you're going to go smaller and smaller. And then you're going to drill a hole halfway through and just position it in. And then you're going to, like I actually did mine, I didn't glue them.
That's smart, huh?
And it's a lot of fun. And you know, if you've got kids visiting you and you want to keep them entertained, you can tell them to take apart the tree and put it back together.
There you go, it's Jenga.
There
Have fun,
you go.
kids.
And you can take it apart and they spin around, and that's how mine is.
That is great. What an excellent project. Make it really tall for the kids.
Exactly.
They can do that for hours.
Use the whole reflector thing. Now, the next one is my oak bark tree. And this one here,
that's my favorite. I love that.
That one, I actually bought a big bag of oak bark at a nursery. And you can get it for not a lot of money. And what you need is a form. And instead of using one that you can buy at a store, I made one out of cardboard because I find cardboard is stronger and it's really cheap. The one thing about it is when you're trying to turn cardboard, it's really tough to turn. So you're really going to want to crease it and like fold it and fold it and fold it. So what you're going to do is you're going to put it together, and you're going to put it, like hold it together, and you're going to use maybe some hot glue gun to hold it together and some tape. And you're going to get these weird folds and these openings, but don't worry about that because once you apply the bark, you're going to camouflage all of that.
It'll all be covered up.
Exactly. So then what you're going to do is you're going to start applying your bark pieces, and you're just going to apply them at the bottom, and then you're just going to overlap them, and you're going to fill in any holes with small pieces of bark, or you can use some faux berries like I did.
That is so good. I think that's a beautiful tabletop. I mean, you would buy that at the store for a good amount of money.
And you can save a lot by just making it yourself.
Yeah, that's great.
The one thing I want to say, it's really minor, but when I apply the bark pieces, you're going to see that they tend to have a little bit of a bow. I always apply the bow to the back side so it gives this fanning effect.
Okay.
And the last tree is I made out of all of the stuff that came from the dollar store. I used some bristle board, I wrapped it to form a cone, and then took a little bit of cardboard, glued it to the bottom, and then I wrapped it in wrapping paper, and then I glued it on top of a little vase that I also got at the dollar store, and I actually painted the vase silver. And then to finish off the edges of the wrapping paper, I used a bit of garland to wrap it with.
So easy. That is great.
Yeah, I just want
ahead.
to say, Tracy, I am a big believer that the more Christmas trees you have in your house, the more presents you're going to get. So this year, all of these trees are going to go in my front window, and I am guaranteed I'm going to get the most presents this year.
This is a good plan.
And you should do the same.
I'm going to do the same.
Do it.
We put all the instructions for Antonio's projects on our website. That is cityline.ca. Put it here, buddy. That's awesome. Let's go to break. More covered up.